Good evening and welcome. I am Maria or Brown Girl Interrupting, and this is Pain to Power Leading with Love. And I am so excited. We've got an amazing guest on today, and we're going to be talking about his book, Dating 360, The Ultimate Guide to Getting What You Want. Before we get into that, I want to share some thoughts I was having this week with you, as I do, which is just that. Yeah, there's been this pain to power journey is a lot of learning. So I found this quote in a book I was reading by Glennon Doyle called Untamed. I'm a human being meant to be in perpetual becoming. If I am living bravely, my entire life will become a million deaths and rebirths. My goal is to remain the same, but to live in such a way that each day, year, moment, relationship, conversation, and crisis is the material I use to become a truer, more beautiful version of myself. And so that is pain to power. I am becoming different versions of myself with rebirth and rejuvenation. And part of it is learning on this journey from experts who are also on this journey and helping lead with love. So thank you. I love it. I've got my Ranchers family here, which is Better Minds Interrupting, says peace and blessings, Brown Girl, and everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us to the Ranchers family. And we are brought to you by my wonderful producer, Ja Logic, who is from Ranchers Union, as well as Better Minds Interrupting. So let's get started today. I am so excited to introduce to you the author, speaker, dating coach, life coach, and business advisor who is leading with love, all about dating advice. You see his book right there in the backwoods. DM Woods, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to have this conversation.
Oh, and I am super excited to have you here. And I know that I have been promoting this for weeks now, and people are ready to hear all that you have to share. We got our friends in the chat. Mr. Jones, good evening. It's so good to have you here. So many people are going to be pulling up and learning. So, how's your evening going?
It's going phenomenal. It's a smooth evening. It's Sunday, so I'm happy. I can't beat the vibes and getting ready for Monday. So
I
no
love
complaints.
that. That's a great way to go into the Sunday and the week, right? Yes, we're gearing up for Monday, and we're thinking about all the things we need to think about for Monday. So I have asked you here because I actually peeped you on another show, which was a Ranters Network show, BKE, and I was intrigued because you talked about dating, but if for me, I also kind of saw this journey of pain to power for you. So as I always ask my guests, I'm curious to know when you hear the words pain to power, what comes up for you in that understanding of what that is?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it immediately makes me think back on some of my lowest points. And there's a lovely quote that I really love Tony Robbins for, which is life is happening for you and not to you. And when you can go back and look at some of those painful moments and see the dots being connected when you look back, like Steve Jobs talks about, um, you can see how it can become your power. And if that hasn't happened for anyone watching, I'm praying that that does happen for them because it's a blessing. It's a blessing to see those painful moments actually become fuel to get you to another level in your life.
Yeah, thank you. And that's so true, right? It is that we are taking every experience that we are experiencing that is happening for us, not to us, to learn and grow. So, with that, you had some experiences that led you to write this book. So, I'd love to hear a little bit more about kind of what brought you to writing your book and a little bit more about your book.
Yeah, so my single journey and relationship journey was much like a lot of people out there. Sometimes it can be filled with confusion. I remember times of thinking that I was in the right place at the right time, only to be have ice cold water thrown on me on reality. Right. I've had times where I've invested and really believed something was going to happen, and it twisted at the drop of a dime. I've had chances where I didn't think it was going to be much, and then it ended up actually being something. So through a lot of those journeys that I've had in my past, it's really opened me up where when I looked at those, I didn't know what was happening at the moment, but in every one of those situations, I learned a special nugget that actually went into the book. So I guess in a long story short, I went through a lot of things. I went through a broken engagement. I went through dating, picking the wrong people. I went through some horrific situations, but they all came for me to be able to get this higher dating IQ that's allowed me to do some pretty phenomenal things and help a lot of people.
That's fantastic. And I think again, like the idea that you experience things to be able to advise people is really important because that authenticity of knowing the challenges, knowing what it is to go through them, move through them, but also get through them, right? Like that's important. So I mean, so in that, like how, because you say there's a journey, and I know that you talk about this in the beginning of your book, but like it sounded like there was a bit of an epiphany you kind of had that really catalyst this writing of the book itself. Was there a particular point that moved you to be like, you know, I need to go beyond just experiencing dating, but actually really researching it to understand
Yeah.
it better?
So the first thing, it was actually 2 points. The first point was, I called myself intentionally dating, which I said that I wanted, the wife and the kids and the house and the whole 9 yards. But my actions weren't lining up. I was having fun. I was doing what I wanted to do, but not necessarily having my actions and my words be parallel to each other, right? So because of that, I experienced a lot of pain. I experienced a sense of depression where things really got very, very shocking for me. And then after that point, I kind of started writing the book. I started the first chapter per se. But it wasn't until I had another situation with a young lady. I think that was at the beginning of 20, 2021. And I had this situation where, I called myself, giving it an opportunity, giving it a chance, and it just blew up in my face. So from that negative encounter, I wished her the best, but at the end, I became a laughing stock. I went actually viral on Twitter for a good amount of time, where literally, I was on a dating app, somebody recognized me. I was on Facebook, somebody recognized me. I was in the gym and somebody recognized me. And I'm like, you know what? I wanna break this bad boy down. I want to really, really figure it out because I had a lot of knowledge, but at that time I'm like, something else is going to come from this. And I was sitting in the right places at the right time about how to write a book, how to, get your thoughts together. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna outline a book for myself. So essentially, I wrote the book starting for myself, then writing it for my sisters, and then it just started coming off where the thoughts just started pouring down on the paper. So it was a pretty phenomenal experience.
Wow. And the rest is history because now you're truly advising people on dating, right? Like that is it. And in lots of different platforms, which is awesome. But it sounds like what you did was you reclaimed your narrative, right?
Oh,
Like
most
you
definitely.
took it back, right? Like and that was your learning point. But I think that's such a beautiful thing because so much and so often it's it looks like we got some thoughts here from Logic and friends. Sir, we need to hear about this viral moment. Yes.
Yeah, so I'll talk a little bit more about it. I was on Clubhouse, ironically, and I was in the shoot your shot room. So I did this introduction, was very, very well received. At the time, Clubhouse did a lot of these events, and my inbox was just blowing up. So I was taking the time to get to know some of the ladies. There was a lady that hopped in my inbox, and instead of being rude, I decided to, welcome the situation, talk, get a chance to get to know her, and see, hey, if there's any other opportunities. And at the time, I had more of a checklist vetting where I essentially communicated the checklist to the person. And she was okay with it. But when she wasn't a couple of the items, things got a little salty. So I took a little chance to get to know her some more. I found out some other things that weren't on the list, and I said, "Hey, you know what? I wish you the best. Pleasure meeting you. So and so and so." So she was like, "Okay, thanks, no problem." Unbeknownst to me, I guess later that night she was in her feelings and she wanted to drag me for being a Capricorn that was dating, and she called it story time on Twitter. And then some of her friends kind of chimed in like, "Hey, give us the deets." And the next day, she just started like going into me and going into like what my profile was and what it said, and that part went viral. And I think at the time, I think it might have got like, I don't know, I think it was 20 24 27,000 likes. I think it was like over 10,000 shares and five something comments. It was crazy, absolutely crazy.
Wow.
But it put me into a place where I was really upset, but I was just trusting in God that something would happen, something would work out, and that's where I put my energy in the situation. And really, it was a pretty big catalyst for me writing the book. So
But that's huge, right?
yeah.
And I mean, it's a downfall to get to bring the rise up, though,
Pain of
right? Like
purpose,
that's
definition
awesome,
right there,
right?
textbook.
That's pain to power, right? Like that's what it is, right? Like that's definitely it.
Yeah.
And I think it's so interesting. So first of all, I'm a Capricorn too, so Capricorns dating are not a bad thing. Thank you
It's
very
okay
much.
to date a Capricorn, everybody. I promise.
It's totally okay. It's actually lovely to date a Capricorn. We're wonderful, amazing people.
Agreed.
But
Agreed.
the other thing is like it's so interesting because I wonder, like you said two things, which kind of stood out to me in this whole idea of just dating in general. Is one is checklists,
Mhm.
right? That's one of those things a lot of people tend to have, and I don't know if those are good or bad all the time, right? Like, and then the other, I'm wondering, like, it sounds like a lot of the things she did are those dating no's that kind of obviously create those like lack of opportunities, right? So that's going to cut someone off, right? So as you're writing this book, you're writing Dating 360, like what other experiences or patterns do you see that are some of those red flags, green flags, or just those patterns that keep coming up in dating that are putting people in a place? Because if you're writing this book, right, ultimate guide, to know the guide, I got to know the barriers, right?
Most
To
definitely.
know what to do right, I got to know what I'm doing wrong. So what's the wrong that you see a lot of? And I know, I mean, you read a whole book, so probably the
Yeah.
top few, right?
Well, what I would say is it's so funny you mentioned red flags. The color of the book is actually red, but it's also passion, right? But essentially, chapter 1 through 5 really is the knowledge, and chapter 6 through 10 is the work. And one of the things that I did is because I've been pretty blessed with the dating experience, right? It makes me go back to where I was engaged back in 2016 and 2017. That engagement, I was just rushing it. I was pushing it, wasn't aligned, didn't really know what I wanted, but was settling for the best option. And when that came to an end, I got to a point where I was dating, and that experience just went, right out there. And then I was like, you know what? I just want to be able to go out, have some fun with some cool people where it's no drama. So I actually built up this singles group that went from me as a founding member to getting the first 10 members, and we grew to 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 200, 500, 1,000, 2,000, and ended up around 25 to 2,700 singles in the Houston area. And we were doing events almost every day. So we started off doing events on Friday and Saturday, then went to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, doing events during the week, and then every day because everybody's like, oh, I'm only free on Tuesdays. So we had these events. And because of this, and then being a Facebook group, I learned about so many things that singles were looking for, how they were communicating. And you can imagine all the drama funneled up to the top. So I heard about the different experiences of the women, the guys, what they were doing, how the guys weren't going out, and how the guys are kind of sniping women, and it was just crazy. So when that came to an end, I kind of had my another swing where I just really dived into dating. I was going on dates very, very frequently, and then I went to shutting it off completely. I'm getting focused on work, and then starting really a lazy style of dating where I'm like, you know what, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing this, and etc., which actually taught me vetting, but it was from a lackadaisical perspective. So once this kind of shifted, I had some other events pop up, and I'm like, man, I thought I was dating intentionally, but this is clearly not it. Life redirected me, and when I look back, I talk about that story in chapter one, which was absolutely crazy. But chapter two tells you about the different types of daters. And I was some of those daters because I've experienced it. I've dated some of those people. So what started to happen is I started putting together these things that I think chapter three is the top five lies that women tell, the top five lies that guys tell, and it just keeps building on maybe why you keep meeting the same people and etc. to actually vetting, going on dates, having conversations, the last questions that you should ask before hopping into a relationship. So it just tied itself together, going back to looking backwards and the dots just connecting themselves.
That's awesome. And so it's funny that you say that because I think I went into dating saying it's a social experiment. Like, like I don't know if that's the Capricorn in me, but like I really did. Like let me just take notes. This ain't working out for me. I'm not finding anybody. At least I'm learning something, right? Like that.
Yes, it's a lot
Sometimes
to learn for
sometimes
sure.
that's it,
Yeah.
right? But the fact that you learned and now you're teaching others is obviously like a lot. It is powerful because it is it's like, yeah, I feel like, we make it this game, we make it this red flags, green flags, all stuff, but truthfully it's like people are looking for someone to live their life with, right? Like they're looking for,
Some
I
people,
mean, that's your thing, right? What's the ultimate goal? Like to getting what you want is what if you're intentionally dating is what it sounds like, right? You're looking for someone to find that is your partner in life, right? Like, and whatever that is for you, right, is definitely important to understand and know and identify. So there's this piece of knowing yourself that I hear a lot coming out from, I know that's in your book, but also in your own understanding. And I'm wondering, like, in for yourself, just in your own connection, because I think I've heard you talk about this too, is there's a spiritual connection to dating for you. There's something beyond simply just it's to go on dates and meet somebody, right?
oh yeah.
It's right, like it's so much deeper than that. What's that been for you, this understanding of spirituality in this process?
Yeah, so unfortunately, a lot of people view dating like that in terms of really, really simple. Dating can be simplified, but it's simple by no means. Just understanding the general outlay of the environment and the actual percent of daters and singles that are actually looking for something serious. But the first thing I say is you have to know what you want, and that's internal. So that's a lot of self work, that's spiritual work that you also have as well. A lot of people will allow themselves to be influenced by the external, and then that dictate the internal. So collecting the data, taking in information, I'm going to take in all of this external, and then I'm going to make what I want internally, right? My coaching is go inside, you already have a lot of the experience that we want, that we desire. If there's any gaps, we can work on that, but we can at least build a construct of what we want by doing the work. Then we have what we want. Then we have to figure out who we are. Are we everything that we need to be for that dream partner? And if there's not, then we have to go inside and do more internal work. When we have who we are and what we want, the only thing we have to do at that point is connect the dots. You connect the dots by going into the dating market and vetting, figuring out, hey, is this person fundamentally who I'm looking for? And if we don't understand those three basic things, dating can be an endless cycle of mixed emotions, for lack of better words.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, definitely. But so okay, so this. I'm the interrupter, so I'm gonna push a little bit here. I want to know for you, DM Woods, what were some of those things that you understood about yourself that you didn't know before that helped you to figure out what it is that you needed to work on to be ready for dating with that intention.
I would say the first thing, the biggest thing that I figured out is the fact that I was not really dating intentionally. For me, that was the biggest thing. Because it's one thing to say it, But when you are having this spirit of scarcity, right? Where I'm just holding on to this person because there it may not be a better person. It's this awesome connection, and I'm gonna hold on to this person because I like the way we talk, and then I'm gonna hold on to this person because I like when we go out, and I'm gonna hold on to this person because of the level of intimacy, and I'm gonna hold on to this person because this person I can just show off. And what it was is I saw myself being a serial dater. I saw myself being a lackadaisical dater. And I saw myself also being a bone collector of holding these individuals in my life and then not even having room for my dream person. And that
Mm.
was huge for me because that was the biggest thing that was really keeping me back. So when I started to let go of all of these things and started to unload and then take it to the next level of saying, hey, if I meet a person and they are not in alignment, I'm going to let them go. And everybody else, I need to push away so I can make room in my life. And as soon as I did that, within months, my person arrived. So that was my big catalyst for me personally.
Mm. That's powerful. But that's big. I think like even just acknowledging that, which is always a hard thing, is to acknowledge
Yeah.
those patterns that we ourselves are doing to keep ourselves from being finding the good thing, like finding what we really want. So we'll say that, yeah, I want that future husband or I want that partner in life, but we're doing the behaviors that are blocking all of that from actually coming to us.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's and scarcity is a big thing. So scarcity is something, and I think you also mentioned fear a lot in part of what keeps people in these places of not finding the right people for them. Like, do you see fear coming up in patterns that are blocking individuals from finding that right one?
Yeah. Fear can be a huge piece. So for me, like I said, it was the fear of 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 scarcity, right? But another big fear that I see affecting a lot of singles is this one: a fear to communicate what they really want, to talk about what they really want. This is a huge fear. And I think it's one of the initial fears that affects singles almost immediately. I've talked to, I don't know, countless singles where you ask them, hey, ultimately, what are you looking for? What are you hoping to build to romantically? And they'll say, oh, well, I just really want, a forever friend. I said, oh, okay, cool. So that's where you're at. So you don't want a relationship. No, 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 I want that, but you didn't say that. Well, you don't want a partnership then. No, 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 no. I definitely want to find my partner. I want to find my life partner. I'm like, you didn't say that. So, okay. So you definitely don't want to get married, right? No, no, no. I mean, clearly I want to get married. So why are you not communicating that? So many singles don't want to communicate what they really want because they're fearful that it's going to scare away their
Mm.
person. But this is the thing: if you truly desire marriage and they truly desire marriage, you communicating the fact that you eventually want to get married, why should that scare them? Because it's what they want. The only person that it scares is the person that doesn't want it. And we live in an environment right now that 14% of the individuals out there that are single actually want something serious. 86% either don't know what they want something casual, or they don't want anything at all. So we have this inverted fear that if we communicate this, we're going to scare off all these people. But those are actually the people that we should be scaring off. But fear has us chasing what we don't want. It's this inverted false sense of reality that's eating up the experience of a lot of singles out there. It's pretty crazy.
But that is interesting though, because I think like it's like shifting that fear to looking at it as you're vetting something. Your honesty rather than your fear of being honest is what's going to get you what you actually want. But I would agree. Like I think, and I'm gonna say I live that myself. Like I certainly have been in situations where I was not honest about what I wanted because of the
Mm,
fear of someone else not wanting it too, right? And
mm,
but in the end, you still don't get what you want. That's the
mm,
kid, right? Like the key is you
right.
don't get what you want. Fear is the block is blocking you from getting that
Yeah.
thing that you truly actually want, right? So you know who's on the same page as you. So I'm curious to know, because a lot of times I feel like a lot of the people who come on my show who are men who talk about dating end up having a lot of female followers, but not many men. I'm just
Mm.
curious to know, do you see um, do you see a range of men and women kind of getting advice from you or looking to, learn more about this? Or do you see that it's majority women? Like, what's the patterns that you're seeing just in terms of those demographics?
I will say for man, for me, it's probably 8 to 1, possibly even 10 to 1.
Yeah.
So for every 8 women, it's one guy. Every 10 women is one guy. But let me tell you why. I also understand this. Um, Most guys, when they spend money, they will spend money on the date, trying to impress a woman, or if they can't, they'll spend money on PUA coaches, pickup artist coaches, which are part of the red pill community. But for them, those guys are focused on how to get the girl. I don't teach
Mm.
you how to get the girl. I teach you how to get what you want and really do the work. But there's not a large population of guys in the dating world that actually are doing the work. They rather figure out how to get the person that they're lusting after or get the person that's been on their mind. Like, what do I need to tell that woman?
How do I
Well,
get
how do
her?
you
Right.
know that woman is the right? I know her, her right there. Oh yeah, like I don't do that coaching. So my coaching is helping you understand the dating environment. For a lot of people that are frustrated, busted, disgusted, ready to go on clearance, are ready to take themselves off of the rack, that's who my coaching is for. Individuals that are just getting out of relationships or just getting out of a marriage and they step into the dating world and they're like, what is this? What is going on? I help those individuals. Most of the individuals that I help are anywhere from about the 30s to the 50s, but I've helped individuals that are in their 20s and 60s. So it really just depends on where you are and what you're looking for. So if you're looking to take that experience serious, you're really willing to fight. What did I do? Like, is there any, do I have any limiting beliefs that I'm attached to? How do I actually vet and ask the right questions to get what I really want, not just get what my eyes tell me to go after? That's the coaching I do.
I love that. And honestly, that's part of what drew me to you just as someone to talk to and someone who has knowledge on this, is because I think there are a lot of people out there who are, I love it, you said POAs. I didn't
Yeah,
even know there
PUA,
was a
PUA,
title.
pickup artists.
Pick up our PUAs. I didn't even know there was a title for it, but I certainly know who they are, right? Like,
Yeah.
but that's the truth, right? There's a difference when you get, and this is for the vetting for those of y'all that are out there that are watching, right? Like, if the person you're getting the advice from is just telling you about that one person, you got the wrong advice. If you are
Yeah.
getting the holistic approach to what do I need to do to get me in the right place to get the right thing for me, that's where you want to be. And DM Woods is one of those folks. So,
Yeah. And I just want to say one more thing on this,
mhm.
right? You know, the pickup artist teaches you how to get the person, to grab them, but they can't show you how to keep them. And you can't do it long term because if you and that person are not aligned, if you're not aligned with that person, eventually it's going to fall apart. So the best thing that you can do is figure out what you want, who you are, connect those dots, and then that bond and union is going to last tremendously longer than just trying to grab somebody to say you got
Yeah, I love that. Definitely. And so definitely go to Dating Advice. The copy of the book is Dating Advice 360. And you see the website and all the information there. We got an image here. Thank you. And we got some more questions. I want to dig a little bit deeper into you and some of the things that I've been picking up on you. In just a moment, I've got a commercial.
Awesome.
So I think we're going to go to the commercial in a few moments. But hi, my name is Maria, but you are soon going to know me as Brown Girl Interrupting. And what I mean by that is that very soon, hopefully, you're going to be following my blog. I am a writer, and I started writing because I was married, I had children, and then my life changed when I separated. And I did a lot of learning and reflecting and growing in that process of change, because change always leads us to that. And I've decided to share that with the rest of the world, because sometimes hearing that someone else is going through the same thing as you, or understanding and putting words to the feelings and experiences we're having, helps us to heal from them, or grow from them, or learn from them. And so that's what my blog is. It's writing about life, healing, relationships, parenting, dating, marriage, pain, love, mistakes, growth, and coming out whole still in all of it as a human, flawed, but always open to new things. So that's my life, that's my journey, and it's written in this blog. But my hope is that you are going to go to www.browngirlinterrupting.com and join and subscribe to the blog and read all about my story to help you maybe gain some perspective on yours. So definitely please go to www.browngirlinterrupting.com and subscribe with your email. That is my blog, and I am interviewing this dating advisor and coach, but I also have just experienced the dating world and have definitely wrote about the ups and the downs, and the lessons that I've learned in the process. Please go check it out, as well as healing, parenting, the complete complications of marriage, all of it. So please go check it out. I've written 3 new posts recently that you should definitely read, and comment, like, and pass it along. So if you haven't read it yet, hopefully, DM, you'll get a chance to go and read some of those blog posts. I don't know if it'll give you some research on my dating experience.
Most definitely.
It's not been pretty. Well, actually, so that's an interesting thing. So yeah, I was married for 17 years, and I've been separated now for about 4 years. It's been so long, I've lost track. But I will say, I think, like, for me, one of the biggest things, and I'm curious to know if you see this, is that, like, when I went into my marriage, I was like 20, right? Like, when I came out, I was 40, right? Like, so what I went in and knew of dating to what I've come out to has been like, whoa, wait, what is this? This is what we call dating? Like, it's been like this whole shock of a whole nother world almost. Like, do you see people almost like floored by just that experience of shifting from like what dating was maybe in their 20s to like what it is now as adults?
Yeah, there was a gentleman that I was coaching recently. He's a coach. And it was interesting because the last time he was single was 1999. And it was around the last time you were single, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I joked around with him and I said, hey, man, the last time you were single, the 99 was taking over for the 2000. Like, they were still partying like it was 1999. Like, definitely different environment. Even back then, the internet wasn't what it was today. I want to say, geez Louise, I'm trying to even think, like, what was up?
MySpace?
Maybe High Five in MySpace, right?
I think so. And there were
And
no apps on your phones, right?
that was,
Like
dude,
that's
that's so different. I remember dating on MySpace, and it was tough because like you had your top 6 friends or top 12 friends, or they had different skins you could put on your MySpace. But if you didn't see those individuals, like you had to like go into somebody's stuff, and it was not like it is today. So it was different. That's before Facebook. That's a good, geez, 5 years before Facebook really took off, just in the colleges. So dating was definitely different back then. It still was about your immediate area and
mm,
who you were close with, either who you worked with, friends and family, or maybe going out. If you went and you traveled, people travel a crap load more than what they did back in the late 90s. So much has changed, right? If you are coming from that experience to here, it's a complete shock. But the thing about it is this: even if you were single, if you were in a relationship, just let's say the last time you were single was 5 years ago, pre-COVID, and now you're just single now. Dating has changed tremendously. More people are on dating apps than ever before. It's a lot more just convoluted with the number of people that's on the apps that's not even looking for something.
mm,
So it's nuts. It's nuts. So dating has become a lot more challenging to navigate through just because of the influx of people. Now we live in a point where you can go on a single website and target a specific community or type of person. Or if you want to meet somebody on the other side of the world in Lisbon, Portugal, you can find that person.
yeah.
So it's so many pieces moving around now. It's a shock for anybody. And then the types of daters and losing people just for money or using people for sex are the types of things. Like we have it now where a third of women are using dates for free food. A third. So
Wow.
if you don't even know this, and there's studies that I talked about last week where this is a thing, and it's been published several times. You can type, one /3 women free food, and you'll see that. So like this aspect has just it's gotten so convoluted. So if you don't know what's going on, and that's what my book kind of talks about, and my coaching talks about, if you can't catch up, you get consumed by everything that's going on out there.
Mm. Yeah, and there's a lot to catch up on for sure, right?
Oh, Black Planet, yes. Yeah.
Oh, my place in Back Planet. That's right. Okay. I see we have some friends in the chat that came and joined us. I think I saw some of my Ranchers fam as well as just some extended friends here. And good evening, Jose. Nice to have you here. And Redemption, salute. So glad to have you. Um, so yeah, I mean, definitely, like, I think that it is a shock because of the way that it is. But I think that, it's interesting that you said that, first of all, the 1/3 of women out for it. I'm like, my struggle has been, I've been dating for like 3 years, and I'm like, I barely went on like 5 dates. I feel like actually like going out dates, right? Like, so I'm like, I'm on the other spectrum of that. I'm not getting any meals out of any of this. But that's all right. That's all right. I can get my own meal. I'm okay. I'm okay. But it's nice to be treated. It's nice to be treated. I'm just putting it out there, right? And salute, just one love. Salute to the panel in the chat. Welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. So, but within that, I think you came to something that I want to come back to. You talked about this idea that people don't always get what they're aligned to, right? And you talked
Mm,
about that, and I was thinking of this idea that we talked about before and comes up a lot is compatibility versus chemistry. Those are like those
mm,
two things that seems to always convolute dating, right? Because
yeah,
when you talk about what people want and what they're out there to actually look for, those are the two places that some people are looking for compatibility and some people are just looking for chemistry.
yeah, yeah.
And some people are really understanding what they're looking for, and they kind of get cut maybe in that chemistry aspect rather than compatibility. So I'm
Most
curious to know
definitely.
your thoughts on what you've seen.
Yeah, so how I describe it is very similar to a double helix. So if you're not familiar with that, you can go on your phone really quick and just type in double helix. But essentially, it's a ladder that is twisted, right? So it's a ladder that's twisted. And when I think about the bonds that happen, I would say the the left side is like compatibility. The right side is like suitability. You have emotional chemistry, and then you also have sexual chemistry, and then attraction is what binds those together, right? But what ends up happening in this full experience, I believe you need all five. Now, you can grow sexual chemistry, you can even grow emotional chemistry. But when you cannot grow is suitability and compatibility. It's either there or it's not. Now, a person can become more suitable and more compatible, but in terms of growing it out of nowhere, a lot of those are static things that don't change. So we have to be mindful of it. So what I focus on when I'm coaching my singles is to focus on the compatibility and the suitability, figuring out exactly what you want. Because when sexual chemistry is introduced, and this can happen a variety of different ways, talking to someone on the phone, hearing their voice, hearing the cadence, seeing somebody on video chat, hearing their voice, seeing the moves, their mannerisms, also meeting a person in person. Everybody's familiar with that. They're familiar with the term
Right.
pheromones, meeting a person in person,
Hmm.
smelling them, getting the opportunity to kiss them, testosterone and all of this kind of stuff going, and estrogen. We're familiar with that, but that can even happen at a simpler level through video chat and voice. And what happens is we're familiar with the negative things, but not necessarily the positive things about how we can hear a person's voice or see them on video camera, and we get that feeling like, I don't like them. Something about them just isn't right. They're rubbing me the wrong way. Well, that can block out everything that a person says because our walls are up. That can also happen in a positive sense. You can let your walls completely down based off a person's voice, how they move, how they portray themselves on video chat, and etc. So what I say is delay, but don't deny that sexual chemistry and that emotional chemistry. Approach it from suitability, compatibility, and vet that person based off of the high points that you're looking for, because if you can connect on the high points, you can build the rest of that experience up and maintain your level headedness. Because once those emotions start coming in and those feelings start coming in, people are familiar with love is blind, but lust is deaf. And when you start lusting after a person, it's hard to hear exactly what they're saying.
Oh,
So yeah,
that's a good one. That's a good one. That's true. And so, can you break down compatibility a little bit more for those of us like we're watching, right? Like, because I don't think everybody always understands what it means to even look for compatibility.
got you. So compatibility is this is the thing. So when you're talking to a person about the difference between compatibility and suitability, for a lot of people they can be interchanged. For a lot of people, those differences can be um, the same. Like it can be the same thing. So my definition of what compatibility is might be somebody's definition for suitability. My definition for suitability can be somebody's definition for compatibility. They're on the same wavelength, but I do believe that there are essentially two different frequencies. Now, with that being said, let's start with suitability. Suitability breaks down to, is this person suitable for me? Based on what I want and what I'm looking for, is this person suitable? So I might want a person of a certain height, a certain size, a certain body type. Now, given preferences, taking that away, but what my range is, that person is suitable for me. The fact that we want the same things, like, oh, you know what, I want to have, 2 to 3 kids. That's not necessarily suitability. I'm compatible. The fact that we share the belief in how we view finances. I'm compatible with that person. I'm sharing the beliefs of how we make decisions. I'm compatible with that person. So compatibility and suitability are crucial to have when getting to know somebody, but I think you should lead with those things instead of allowing them to be influenced by chemistry.
Mm. And that's important, right? Because if we're dating with intention, we're dating to really find someone who's compatible. That's the sustaining of it, right? Like, is
Agreed.
because chemistry will take you a little far, but people stuff happens, right? Chemistry, like you, even just your bodies change, right? If nothing else, right?
Most
So,
definitely.
what's going to hold the glue together, right? What's gonna keep it going?
That compatibility and suitability will.
It really is. It really, really is. And I'm still looking. I'm looking for the compatibility and suitability. But so what I really like about you, and I think with dating, it's really important to have this, is that you have so much humor in everything you do. Like I follow your Instagram. I love
Oh
your
yeah,
Instagram, and but you make, like, I think you make dating a lighter thing than it, and a lot of times it becomes so serious, and like to the point where I see like women go into depression on dating, men sometimes maybe even too, right? Like we
I've been
feel
there.
like it, and our self-worth, right? Like, and your
Yeah.
self-worth is impacted, right? Like, so you've been there, right? Like it happens, right? And it
Mm.
can really tear you down to that pain place, right? So keeping humor is so important. So I'm just wondering, like, what role does humor and comedy play in this, in dating, and advice for dating for you?
It's so funny. I remember when I started doing reels back on Instagram, and it was more of a brand awareness, having fun, and shaking up the monotony. Because even though I can always drop knowledge on doing videos and etc., people want to laugh. People want to have fun. Sometimes to detriment, because in dating, we're looking for those chemical bonds, that emotional chemistry to be there, and we judge that as the litmus test. So it can be a little dangerous, right? But people do want to be able to laugh. People want to be able to joke. Every now and then, I'll drop some gems and things like that, but it's my outlet. I've found, as I have been in a relationship with my person, I've gotten sillier. I've even in rooms now, like, I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna have my serious moments, but I'm gonna have fun and be able to enjoy it. In your dating experience, I think for sure you should have fun. It's beneficial to delay it a little bit, but I'm not saying to cancel it out or deny it. And when you do that, I really think that your results at the end of the day are going to be really phenomenal.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, I mean, I live life like that. Honestly, like I can't, I tell most of my friends know this, like I can't stay emotional for too long or serious for too long. I got to crack a joke. Like even in professional spaces, like jokes are necessary. That's how you break the tension. I don't know if it's a Capricorn in me. Like it's
No,
definitely like
no. Yeah.
humor is necessary in to keep the world that is, it can be really deep and dark and painful sometimes. You gotta lift yourself out
Yes.
of that, right? Like you can't
Yes.
stay there. But it doesn't mean you're denying the truth of it. It's a little different, right?
Yeah.
So I know we got a lot of things in the chat, and we've got a lot of folks in here. Some can we bring some of those comments back up? And if there's any questions, I mean, here we got the dating guru here, who's got some questions for us. Come on, I know y'all are out there looking for folks and wondering about this. This is your time.
Mm.
Yes, Jal Logic says thank you for elaborating. I thought that was on your viral moment. Sounds like you dodged a bullet. Yep.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
that's the truth, right? So
God.
NYA Matchmaker says yes, DM is always dropping gems for sure, for sure. Thank you. Yeah, lots of gems, right? And Just One Love says great information, compatibility, and sustainability. I agree, Just One Love. Like that was new for me, and I needed to hear that. Well, welcome, J58, clicking the door. We've got salute to you, and thank you for coming and joining us. And we got the Ranchers Union. So I would like to know, I mean, it's pain to power, but it's leading with love. In your mind, how is what you do every day, what you have now devoted your life to in this process, been leading with love for others for you? What is your goal and hope for all of this?
You know, my goal is to get more knowledge out for singles that can truly benefit from it. my dream is for that to impact their lives to a point of change. I love working with and giving back. So I'm quick to, hop on a live as long as I got the time, right? As long as I got the time, I'm quick to hop on a live or talk, on a show, or even go on places like Clubhouse and IG and drop as much information as I can because I want singles to benefit from it. I also love doing one-on-ones. And that way I can dig a little bit deeper and really start to break those limiting beliefs. But that's what I love. My gift, and I recommend everyone figure out their gift. My gift is inspiring, advising, and motivating. And being able to do that with singles in a space to really fundamentally change their life for today and tomorrow is something that continues to motivate me, continues to inspire myself. And I love being able to give the best advice that I can to help singles really get a gather for what's going on out there. And when they do, the stories are worth it every time.
Mm. Yeah, so actually that was going to be my question. Like, what are some of the great stories, or like, those memorable stories you've gotten back from what you've done with other people?
Yeah, so I remember back in Houston, just my work in doing singles groups, there were three couples that actually got engaged. Actually four that got engaged, three that got married. So that was absolutely phenomenal. And my coaching now, being able to help people navigate online dating, being able to help people navigate their DMs and hearing the success stories. Some of my people are in relationships, they're actively dating right now. So I'm really excited. And some of them where they came in like, yo, I'm a challenge on this, on that, and like, oh, I'm on my third date and I'm doing this. And, it's motivating to hear those wins. It's motivating to hear people break their limiting beliefs in less than an hour. That's huge because limiting beliefs sometimes, people can die with them. But to be able to break limiting beliefs and talk to a person about how to vet and how to, actually figure out exactly what they want through prototype exercise, like all of these things are just phenomenal experiences that are accessed each time I interact with a person, no matter if it's a small win or it's one of the big ones where you hear success stories about somebody's dating. So I love it all.
That's an awesome thing, right? And so, you got people getting married and engaged and starting their lives, which is like families beginning, right? So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Like, to be a part of that is transformational and powerful. So we're about to close out, but I've got one more question that I want you to share a little bit more about, just where everybody can find your information and more from you. But I know you talked about some of the things you learned about yourself as a dater, but just in this, from the start of your process of like this catalyst of you starting to write this book, what have you learned about just yourself as a person? And I always like to think, I think with us, with people, right, we learn the good and we learn the bad. So what's something positive, like something that you learned as a strength that you didn't realize about yourself? And maybe what's like a challenge of yourself that like you identify that like, I do this and it's not good, right?
Mhm.
So what might be those two things for you?
I will say helping people. And I'm going to tell you why. One, the reason why it's a strength, being able to help somebody is not only motivating to see the results, but it recharges my own batteries because I'm operating in my gift. And the more I do it, the more I'm able to experience that. The negative part is tough to turn it off. So, like, sometimes I have to drag myself from it or drag myself from a room and remember other priorities. Like, now being in a relationship, the last thing I want to do is neglect, my responsibilities as a boyfriend, right? And being able to balance this gift as well, right? So, I am learning my balance and having that open communication with my girlfriend is great because we talk about it. She understands what I'm doing. And I have times where now, and I've been doing this for a while, when it comes to when we're together, I block myself off of the calendar for taking one on ones.
Mm.
because I don't want that to pop up and et cetera. Now, every now and then, a live or a podcast opportunity might come up. She's fully supportive of it. It's dope. I love it. So I think it's just being able to have a balance with your gift,
Mm.
because sometimes it's just so um, invigorating. It's hard to kind of turn it off sometimes.
That's, I mean, it's a beautiful thing, right? Helping people, but so important to also give to yourself that space that you need to turn it off,
Yeah.
right? Because you need to, as you said, recharge. And in dating, it's really important to put the person you're with,
Yeah.
put that time in, make that, make them a priority, and they need to feel that. That's really important. So I think, you got to model what you preach in here, right? So that's important for sure. Don't want you on Twitter again.
Oh
No more
no.
viral
Yeah,
moments.
we don't want that. We don't want
No
that.
more viral moments. Not at all. Not at all. So, DM, thank you so much for coming. Where do people go to get all the information, and what are all the different ways that you are helping people so that they can find you? Because
Most definitely. So, best place to find me is on IG, which is dwoods.advisor. That's DWOODS dot advisor, ADVISOR on IG. Best place to reach me. I'm almost always there. You can send me a message. If you're watching the show, and you're like, yo, I want to get that book, what I'm going to do is give you a special offer. Send me a message on IG. I will give you that book 50% off, and I will send you a signed copy on top of that. If you're interested in working with me one on one, I have a couple of specials. One of them is $50 off a month session, which is absolutely phenomenal. Highly recommend you check that out. Or if you just want to check out one session, I'll give you $100 off of a session to work with me for an hour, fully uninterrupted. So if you reach out to me on IG, we'll be able to talk, connect, and take your dating to the next level. So I'm really excited to be here.
I love it. Thank you. And thanks, that's like people look, you snooze, you lose, but you're on here and you're watching. You got some great deals here from DM. So that's awesome. And any final words just for the audience on dating, on even if they haven't necessarily gotten your book yet, but in between getting your book and now, what's that one thing to consider in this process of dating that you can leave us with?
Yeah, I would say let's just start with the basics. Figure out exactly what you want. And the hardest part of that is separating preferences from a range of what you actually want. Because sometimes preferences will ruin our dating experience because we'll always be searching for more and we can become insatiable. So we want to be able to have that balance. Next, we have to figure out who we are and we got to understand where our gaps are. Work on things that we have to improve. Once you do that, the next thing is connecting those dots, figuring out how to ask the right questions to vet somebody. Only 14% of the singles out there are actually looking for something serious, and less than that number is actually looking for marriage. And if that's something that you actually truly want, we have to figure out how to ask those questions in such a way we really can understand what we're getting from that person. One of the biggest issues in dating is mirroring. So the more information they find out about us, the more that they will try to mirror us to be with us. Not every single has this law of abundance and abundance mentality. A lot is scarcity and fear. And I want you to be able to navigate through all of those experiences. So if this is our last time seeing each other, please go back and watch this from the beginning. If you are wanting to reach out to me on IG. I'll be happy to hear from you. But more than anything, stay encouraged because your time is coming, and I can't wait to hear your success story.
I love it. And hopefully it's not the last time at all. We're definitely going to be hearing more from you. And I see we had a lot of folks in the chat. Better Minds Interrupting says great show. Thank you so much. Better Minds Interrupting is my co-host. Let's Lovely Tea. And I don't know if you've caught it, but we talked about spirituality, but we do a podcast on spiritual healing every Thursday at 9 o'clock. So for those of you in the audience, as well as for DM, definitely check us out. We're on this channel as well as Better Minds Interrupting on YouTube. And I think I saw some other chats. NYA Matchmaker, his reels are fire. They really are. They're hilarious. You got me cracking up, and they're just, like, it's the levity. You got to have some levity in life, I think, right? It's
Yeah.
how we keep the positive and the peacefulness in our energy, for sure. So NYA says, yes, I also think it's important to have fun in relationships. I agree 10,000% DM. Haha, jokes are necessary. You're right about that, Maria. Yes, for sure. Believe me. And sometimes I know my folks get sick of them because I'll go from an emotional moment to a real funny one real quick. And that's what it needs, right? So thank you, Brown Girl, for bringing us the info. I'm so glad, and make sure you check out DM. And I just want to bring us back full circle. Thank you so much to everyone for showing up, for being in the chat, for engaging, and definitely DM. I am so grateful for your wisdom and knowledge today. Like, you really are insightful in this dating world, and just in what the experience is for truly finding what we want and being who we want to do that. So I'm really appreciative of you being here for doing that. And Better Mind says, thank you, DM, for sharing your knowledge. And so I started off, I know, with the quote about this idea of, becoming, and that's what it is. And even in the dating world, right, we're constantly becoming and understanding and knowing ourselves to be able to rebirth that person that we want to be. So if you're stuck in dating limbo, if you're still seeing all those red flags, right, do the work to figure out yourself, to bring that pain that you're in to power, and then lead with love, and find that person and that place that you belong in. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back here next week at 9 o'clock on this channel, and Sunday the 17th. And actually, I'm really excited because our person in the chat here, my co-host from Better Minds Interrupting, is going to be my special guest. So we're going to learn a little bit more about spiritual healing and her story of what led her there. So thank you so much to everyone. Thanks again, DM. Thanks, Logic, my amazing producer and always the man with the plan. And to all of our Ranters family and audience. So have a beautiful night and stay peaceful. My world has slowly crumbled around me countless times, and every time I rebuild with the pieces I've been given to birth something so transformational and beautiful that no one else knew might exist before it was shown to them. These moments tend to coincide within my romantic path. The universe has been telling me to focus on the revolution and not romance. It has over time given me the tools, resilience, and light to turn my pain into power. And only now do I see that the key to this always resided in the love and knowing I had in myself, not from the external sources of family or men. The message I have been avoiding might be that my time in this world I had existed in was not to receive love, but to put it out there for others to see, feel, and heal through. Revolution before romance moves pain into power.